What's going on, everybody? TheKennyDubz here with another Mega Man X Dive offline video. Now today, I'm going to be talking about the best characters to use for early game, or I guess for beginners. So I guess we need to talk about what would be early game. So I'm going to be defining early game as characters you can get before 10-6. So characters you can get before 10-6 are what I'm going to be defining as early game. Realistically, it's probably going to just be like 4-6 that you can unlock them at the latest, just because 10-6 is another like breakpoint where you can unlock characters, but 10-6 is basically halfway through the game. It's like the midpoint. Now I know what you're thinking, Kenny, there's 23 worlds. 10-6 can't be the halfway point. Well, there's not actually 23 worlds, right? There's actually 20 worlds, with 3 of them kind of being like standalone stages. So these are basically just event stages that were put into here so that they make sense in the story. So 18-1, or World 18, World 19, and World 21 are actually just single stages. So if you compress those into one world, then, you know, there would only be 21 stages as opposed to the 23 that we have. So I'm going to be defining that as early game. So again, characters that at latest you can get around 4-6 for that. All right, and just to show this over here, while I'm over here on my other account, if I go down to here, you can see a lot of characters are locked, and I think Colonel Valmark 2, yeah, you can see 10-6 for some of these. Okay, yeah, and some of them don't unlock until even later. So the characters you can get before 10-6 are basically what I'm going to be referring to as characters that'll be good for early game. So without further ado, let's jump into it. Now, aside from this first character I'm going to talk about, none of them are going to be in any particular order. But the first one, which I think is the best for starting the game with for early game, and just really good in general, S-Class Hunter X. He is a fantastic unit. He has so much going for him, so much versatility, and yeah, there's not really much else to say about him in that regard. However, the things that he does have that make him a fantastic unit for early game, as even beginner players, are his skills. He has iframes on some of his skills. He has offensive buffs, as you can see here. He has a fat attack buff right here at 32%. He has a fat defense crush right here as well, increasing the damage you deal even more. On top of that, he also has a really good inherent damage mitigation with armor protection, just a stock 15% for just existing. And then on top of that, if you add a buster onto him, he has 35% damage mitigation for simply existing, and then 20% damage amplification, again, for just existing there. He also has a speed buff, which is really, really good for doing things fast, like the fastest cyberspace record, or, you know, doing race mode stages, so that he has flexibility there. He also has a shield, which is really, really good, giving him even more survivability there. He does have a bit of situational mitigation as well. When he's below 50%, and decrease the damage taken by another 20%. So at minimum, as long as you have a buster, he has 35% damage mitigation. If you're below 50%, then he has 55% damage mitigation, which is still pretty good. Following taking a look at his DNA, he has even more sustain because he has energy feedback, which gives him a heal every time he beats an opposition. This is basically a much better version of the Baton card, and you can stack this on top of the Baton card. Following that, he has enhanced Buster Expert, which increases the effect of Buster Expert by 20%. So we go back over here, and now you get 24% damage amplification and mitigation when equipping a buster. So that gives you even more damage mitigation, which is great. And right here, finally, you have increased damage rate for a tracking missile. And when he uses maximum charge shot, reduces the prep time of tracking missile by 2 seconds, which is very, very nice as well. And so S-Class Hunter X is also free, so that means you have to spend less to get him fully invested, because instead of buying 370 memories, you only need to buy 330 memories, which is fantastic there. And one thing I do want to note is that there are a bunch of people parroting the same information about Second Armor X being much better than S-Class Hunter X. And that's really not true, especially with the arguments that I've seen they've been using to say this information. So without going too much into it, the logic is that second armor X is better because you get both of his cards and he can deal more damage and he has much more sustain than S-Class Hunter X, which just isn't true. If you simply read what the character's kits can do and their abilities and their passives, you'll see immediately that that is not true. Let's take a look at second armor X real quick. Second armor X, he has inherently 10% damage mitigation off of this passive, so already worse than S-Class Hunter X. Now, he has Buster Master, increases damage by 20%, which is not bad, but you know, he has less damage mitigation than S-Class Hunter X. He does get armor. He does get the other passive as well to reduce damage taken by 50%. By 20% when your armor energy is 20%, it's 50% or higher. But again, that's situational, so you don't want to depend on that. So he has a lot less damage mitigation than second armor X, than S-Class Hunter X. So okay, well, what else do he have? Does he have any healing? He doesn't have any healing. Does he have a shield? He doesn't have a shield. Does he have iframes? He does have iframes. He gets it from this passive right here. So it does have iframes. And one of the things that people have been parroting is that S-Class Hunter X doesn't have iframes. Well, if you simply read his passive right here, Retracting Missile will not take any damage when the skill is active. So he does have iframes. But yeah, S-Class Hunter X is just the arguments that they're using just aren't true at all. It's actually just fake news. So I did want to point that out because I got a few questions about that as well. About second armor X versus S-Class Hunter X in terms of usability. And on top of that, you have more flexibility with your card slots with S-Class Hunter X, because if you're using second armor X, you're probably using his cards. And that somewhat limits you a little bit in terms of what you're going to be doing. That means that S-Class Hunter X has a lot more flexibility with his cards and can add even more damage amplification or mitigation with things like Elite Hunter. You can even run double baton, which I run. I don't really need double baton, but like it's just like my brain off thing. I also did want to point out that you can get S-Class Hunter X as early as 1-6. After you beat 1-6, you'll be able to use S-Class Hunter X, and you get a copy of him for free from there, and then you'll be able to buy. All right, moving on to the other units. Again, these units, aside from S-Class Hunter X, are in no particular order, though I do think S-Class Hunter X is the best one. Next up, we talk about Furham. Furham is a pretty nice unit here. She does have some nice things going in her kit here. She has she has a crit rate increase, so you'll deal a lot more damage. She has a shield as well for more survivability here, and in her DNA she has some healing, which is quite nice there. She also has a preventative shield as well as to protect you from status effects, which is quite nice. But yeah, HP absorb when you defeat a target, you gain 16% of your attack as HP. Quite a bit less than S-Class Hunter X. S-Class Hunter X gets 5% more. But yeah, Furham is not a bad option to start with as well. The only real issue with Furham is that she's a bit more CQC. Because she wants to be in close quarters when fighting the opposition. So you either with your Blood Snake or your Crimson Shadow, it kind of puts like a field around you, so you can make use of that, kind of just run into things, and then with your shield, you know, you'll be pretty safe from that there. Other than that, not really much else to say about Furham. She does get some nice passives as well. Here, increased crit damage by 192. This increases your crit damage right here, and this increases your crit hit rate. So you'll be more likely to crit with this one, and this one you'll deal a lot more damage when you actually hit a crit. She has a unique card as well, which can be helpful for her, so that you can add that to your kit when you're using her as well. Next up, we have Cinnamon. Now, I think Cinnamon might be a little bit better than Furham when it comes to survivability, but the problem with Cinnamon is that Cinnamon doesn't do nearly as much damage as other units in the game. Cinnamon is all about survival. So, like, if you want to turtle, you know, and just kind of be safe, take it a bit slower, and you're okay with taking a little bit slower route, you know, you won't be just like bursting through the stage a lot of the time dealing damage. Cinnamon is a okay character for you to use as well. Now, the reason I recommend Cinnamon is because Cinnamon is very, very good for newer players or early game. One of her skills right here, the Angel Aura, gives you damage enhancement status, will increase the damage you deal. You consume a heart, you gain a defense enhancement status, can be stacked twice, so you get about 13, not 13, 32%. I mean, you'll get a little bit more, but like 32%. Roughly, and then you can heal as well off of this one skill. So you can get damage amplification, damage mitigation, and a heal, which is very, very nice there. And depending on the skill, depending on the stage, you might want to use this skill, modifier chip right here as well, because it gives you a speed boost. This one gives you crit rate. I'm not sure if you would want to use this, or even really when you want to use this. Maybe if you're fighting a boss. But then if you're fighting a boss and you're struggling, you might want to use Caring. So there's that. Then you have Syringe. Syringe has a pretty good damage multiplier, and it inflicts Attack Crush. So that means the enemy will be doing even less damage to you with Cinnamon, which means you live longer. Now you can increase that here. Well, you can increase damage mitigation here, kind of, with the Unfocus. So they have less chance to crit. You have slow here, which doesn't really help all that much. And then this one, you can take 2 charges of Syringe into one big one and deal a little bit more damage. And then for her DNA, yeah, she has good rest when taking attack damage. When causing attack crush or hitting a target that has been attack crush, you gain a heal equal to 22% of your attack. Again, a bigger heal than Furham's. And this one is a little bit easier to trigger because you don't actually have to defeat the target for that. You just have to hit a target with attack crush. And because Cinnamon inherently inflicts attack crush with her Syringe, that will be pretty easy to do there for you. So you can make good use of Cinnamon if you're struggling a little bit with some stages. I forgot to mention Black Zero as well. These 3 characters I mentioned are launch characters in the original X-Dive, and they were all pretty solid there. Black Zero is definitely a character that I know people really like, and he's pretty solid, honestly. The downside with Black Zero is, unfortunately, while he does have access to iframes and a shield, he doesn't have inherent healing. That can be remedied with the Baton Combo card or some other cards. However, you know, he has a little bit less sustain than both Cinnamon and Furham in that regard. However, what he does do instead is a lot more damage. Black Zero also has a speed buff, so that you can make use of him in race mode, or just going through stages a little bit faster. I don't remember his modifier being all that great. Yeah, they're not all that great. Mobility is pretty solid. You can go with attack increase as well, but mobility means you'll be able to use Rayquaza more frequently. And then he has Sea Flasher, which, just like in the online version, this isn't really that great, unfortunately. You'll probably use Complete Penetration most of the time, so it can pass through landscape and barriers. I think that's probably the best one, but his passive skill over here, Productive Shield, gains him a shield when casting Rayquaza, and Rayquaza is your movement ability, and you're also invulnerable to damage while that skill is active. You have a little bit of damage mitigation as well here, and you see here is the speed boost, and you have a little bit of damage mitigation, or damage amplification here as well. Now, the downside with Black Zero is that his DNA is pretty underwhelming, if I remember correctly. You get 20% of melee master, so 24%. And that's 30% more triggering Savage Pursuit's quite nice. Doesn't tell you what the base percentage is, but yeah. So Black Zero is a decent option as well. I figured I'd throw him in here because I know he's a favorite of some people. And yeah, basically it. Now, moving on a little bit here, I'm going to talk about Third Armor X. Third Armor X, I think, is a really cool unit, and I think he's decent for starting the game with as well. I don't remember. I think it's 4-6 for him, probably. But his skills are pretty nice. He has a cross charge shot, so you can make your 2 shots kind of cross, and then you deal more damage that way. And then he has this hyper chip. Now, his hyper chip at first doesn't seem all that great, but you take a good look at it here. Tapping the potential and gain increased attack, defense, and defense stats that cannot be canceled. Cannot be canceled is very, very important. So it cannot be canceled from bosses or enemies inflicting interference. On top of that, you can amplify the attack or defense amplification should you want with those, or decrease the cooldown. You might be thinking, well, Kenny, well, what makes Third Armor X so good? If he hasn't had, you know, like he just has buffs. Well, that's where his passives come in. So, first up, he has a body chip. You know, a chance of getting to acquire shield that goes in 50% attack damage. That's pretty good. He also has head chip, which has healing on it. So you just have inherent healing, which is very, very nice there. You have to stay still for this for 7 seconds, which kind of sucks, but I think that's still okay for him because you have shield, healing, you have offensive buffs as well, damage mitigation, damage amplification, damage amplification with Buster Mastery, and then you have body chip enhancement, which is a body chip so that you can withstand 75% attack damage. And I think this makes it so that I feel like this makes it so that you're guaranteed to get the body chip enhancement. I don't remember. But after that, you get Buster Adaptability, so you get 20% damage mitigation when equipping a Buster as well. So you have the damage mitigation from that, from just existing with the Buster, and then you also have the buff from the Hyper Chip as well. Also, his second DNA actually increases the odds of his body chip triggering. Though, again, I don't know what the odds are of triggering, but, you know, chance of getting a shield are pretty nice. And the cooldown of head chip is reduced to 4 seconds instead of 7 seconds, which means, so you're sent for 4 seconds and you get some healing, which is very, very nice there. Oh, also Third Armor X can triple jump, which means you can get to some easier spots to get to. Or some harder spots to get to, and maybe get some of the hidden elements you're missing out on. This one's going to be a bit of an odd one, but I think Seal is an okay option as well. I definitely think she's on the weaker side of the units you could start with, but if you're a Seal fan, she's pretty usable. As well. She has inherent healing on her Cyber Elf, though if you're using the healing on her Cyber Elf, her Nurse Elf, you get 36% of your attack, which is quite a sizable heal. However, then that means you can't use the speed or the defense. Though, even with that said, a bit of flexibility with either the speed or the defense boost here. How about you'll have the Seal system as well. The Seal system has iframes on it, and I think it has some other bonuses as well, which you can get here. You get some defocus, which kind of adds to your survivability if the opposition ends up missing their attacks on you. And then down here, you have some nice passives as well. You get a protective shield when you use a Seal system, and you get 20% damage reduction when equipping a sprayer. Booster shot gives you 20% damage amplification when using a sprayer, so that's quite nice. And your Cyber Elves can pierce terrain. And then you get even more damage mitigation when inside of the Seal system. So basically, Seal system, you set up a field and you kind of sit inside that. So you get 35% while in there. If you opt to go for the animal shelter as well, you get a 36% damage reduction, and you also get your preventative shield or your damage reduction by 20% when equipping a sprayer. So ideally, you just take like little to no damage with Seal. Now, I did also want to mention a few other characters as kind of honorable mentions. So the honorable mentions because while I did say you get them before 10-6, you can, in theory, get level 60 before you get to 10-6. So that means if you hit level 60, you can get access to the event characters, or some of the event characters, and make use of them. If you want to make use of them, however, you'll have to actually grind out quite a bit if you want to get them early. That said, some of the event characters are pretty solid additions to the roster, and if you end up getting them early, congratulations, you'll have some good units pretty early there for that. I can't seem to find Via is a good one right here. I was kind of scrolling trying to find Via. Via is a pretty solid one there in the events tab. Via has a lot going for him. Via is very, very good. He has some nice moves here. He has iframes on his Sword Style Technique Blue. You're going to want to use this one because it reduces the prep time by 50%, which makes it like a 6-second cooldown instead of a 12-second cooldown. He has a dash with this technique right here, which also gives him a speed boost. Also does quite good damage. You can see both of his attacks deal like 200% attack damage. Oh, okay, it's over here. He has damage amplification, damage mitigation in his kit. Here is his you get a shield here when using via Technique Blue. Which is very, very nice there. And this right here has a defense crush on him so that he can deal more damage to enemies and bosses. And then I think with his DNA, yep, he has healing in his DNA as well, which is very, very nice. And he has increases the effect of melee mastery. Using skill 2, gain 2 stacks of defense enhancement status. So Via is a very, very well-rounded character. If you want to be able to try and get him before you know, just like hard grinding out early game, Via is a good character to use as well. Other than that, most of the holiday units are pretty good choices as well. Like Easter Swimsuit Roll has shield, she has speed boost. She has really good speed boost. Has a shield off of this skill here. I don't remember where it is, but Swimsuit Roll's a pretty good one. Pretty good one to use here. She also has defense buff as well, which I wasn't aware of. There's like the Halloween units as well, like Halloween Vial, Halloween Sigma have healing in their kit. You know, yeah, that's why I said honorable mention for these, because you can get these if you grind really early. I don't really have much to say about a lot of the event units, because I would be here for much longer just kind of going over those if I were to cover all of them. So I wanted to cover a few of them. Via for sure, S-Ring Hunter X, and then, you know, the few other units that I mentioned as well. Now, I did want to give another honorable mention to S-Class Hunter Zero. I didn't, well, I say honorable mention, but the reason I didn't mention him is because you can't buy his memories until after you clear 10-6. You get him very early in story, but you can't buy his memories after that. Now, I don't know if I don't remember if there's an event you can get his memories from, but just like S-Class Hunter Zero, S-Class Hunter X, he has healing in his kit here. He has a shield as well. That's not... Oh, Final Comeback. I like... Okay. I like the name of that. Is it in Showtime? Oh, you also get healing after launching Super Rikoha, which is quite nice. I don't remember... Where do you get the... Is it a modifier chip? Oh, it's a modifier chip here. Get a shield that can withstand 105% attack damage. Yeah. Okay, there's that there. Get melee expert. Damage and damage mitt just for existing with a melee weapon. So that's quite nice there. So yeah. He is, like I said, he is quite good. You just can't buy his memories until after you beat 10-6. So that's why I didn't mention him earlier. But I did want to make note that he does exist as a pretty solid character choice as well. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I meant to upload this video a lot earlier, but I just haven't had time to really sit down and record it. But I did want to cover some things because I have been getting questions about characters that are good to start with. And I did kind of want to talk about I guess like the fake news that Second Armor X is much better than S-Class Hunter X because he has more survivability and damage, because that's like, you just look at the characters, like you read the characters' kits, and that's just not true. So, because I've seen a lot of people asking about that as well. And yeah, anyway, that's going to be it for me. If you did enjoy this video, appreciate you guys could like, comment, and subscribe. Which I'm showing me growing content. Let me know if there's anything else in particular you want to see, and I'll catch you guys next time. Later.